Matt and Luke's Sci-Fi Sanctuary.
The year is 3013. The galaxy is scintillating in the mellow light. Two galactic pilgrims seek out vistas in the samurai future to bring forth the unity of the cosmic shaman. Opening the door of the pantheon of mystics, the evil sorcerer wizard powers the engine of science, seeking to forever alter the sacred balance, traveling on effervescent balls of summer fire.
This week, Ghostbusters.
In the year 1984, women knew their place. But in 2016, they thought they could bust ghosts.
Ain't no bitches gonna bust no ghost. Yes, this is Matt.
This is Luke.
Welcome to our
Sci-Fi Sanctuary.
It is April, and for April, we are discussing films we legitimately don't like. But this is April 1st. Spoiler, we like this one.
Yeah, I like this one better than the original.
In fact, there's only 3 people in the world I think that like this movie. Or 3 men. My daughter and my wife like it. There's you, there's me, and there's our guest today returning from GOnZoRiFFiC Underground Cinema, Andrew Shearer. Definitely loves this film. Hello.
Hey, yeah, no, I paid to see it 10 times when it was in theaters. Granted, this was back in the Movie Pass days, so you know they were discounted tickets, but still, yeah, I went 10 times.
Yeah, your record's Rocky Horror, but what Pulp Fiction still beat that, right?
Pulp Fiction was 17.
Oh, okay.
But it was out. But that was in theaters for a year.
Yeah, see, I thought it was 14, so he saw it a few more
17.
times.
I thought I was ridiculous for seeing Transformers 4 6 times.
See, I did see Pulp Fiction about 4 or 5 times, but not like this guy.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that movie for years. One day I'll watch it. It's the Big Lebowski effect. I've seen it so many times I can't watch it anymore.
Yeah, you've talked about that before.
That's the thing. I quit watching it after Lebowski because I thought Lebowski was better.
You can like 2 films. It's allowed. They're not like wives.
But anyway, I had to ask Andrew to come here because one, when we were kids, we would pretend to be the Ghostbusters using his father's high-end photographic equipment.
Okay, I thought you were going to say like around the urinal. Don't cross the street.
That too.
Yeah.
That too.
Yeah, but no, his dad had all this real nice stuff, and we just used it in horrible ways. And when the run-up to this movie, I remember your Facebook almost looked like a production log for this movie.
Yeah. I was very, very excited to get... honestly, I would have been very excited to get any third Ghostbuster because I was never happy with 2 being the last Ghostbuster movie. And, as a kid, I ate up all the toys, the shows, every little bit of trivia I could get. And, I sincerely thought there were so many false starts. For decades, I thought there would never be one. And then once it was clear one was going to happen, it could have been way worse than this. It could have been anything, and I would have been happy. But the fact that it was all women really blew my mind.
I know in the 2000s, I know you're not a gamer, but there was a Ghostbusters game that they were touting as being a sort of a storyline.
I was going to bring that up as well, yeah, because it actually, I think it took the script that was hanging around for Ghostbusters 3 and also brought all of the cast in for voice work. So it was the closest we got to a Ghostbusters 3 with the original surviving 3 Ghostbusters.
Okay.
As I understand, it's a pretty mediocre game in terms of like playing a game, but
maybe that's why they didn't make the movie. No, the only Ghostbusters I've played, Andrew knows what this is.
Oh, Sega.
Yeah.
I also played that.
Forgot all about this. Yeah.
It's supposed to be a terrible game, but I know I loved it. I think you told me it was shit, but
it's been covered by...
No, I mean, like Andrew told me it was shit when I wanted to play it.
No, I was going to say, but all like the shit games YouTube channels have done an episode on that one. It's like one of the infamous so-called bad games.
Okay.
But, yeah, I also had some fun with it, but I was like 4, so...
Yeah.
I chose my games by which ones had the funniest death animations, because that's what I was seeing the most.
The other thing rolling up to this is, so when we got this, my daughter loved it. We got the Lego set with this movie's Ecto one, which is cooler than the proper Ghostbusters set. But yeah, then I was like, oh, let's watch the originals. And we put on Ghostbusters, and I hadn't seen it for a while. I'm like, oh my God, Bill Murray's so misogynistic in this.
Yeah.
Like, it just never quite came through till after I'd seen this one. And then we watched Ghostbusters 2, and my family actually preferred Ghostbusters 2.
Wow.
That tripped me out. They liked that one better for whatever reason. I guess because the baby was cute.
I mean, Bill Murray does do a lot of films where old, gross Bill Murray gets with beautiful young actress. So.
I guess, so I was about to start talking about the original Ghostbusters and how that came about, but we're talking about 2016. So basically, yeah, this guy's Facebook feed got me because I'd heard all the hate and kind of stepped back a little bit.
Right.
But again, the sort of Facebook production diary got me interested, and yeah, and the first 5 minutes of this movie, I actually did think I was not going to like it. Something didn't sit with me well, and then it just started to click. So, yeah.
Okay. So yeah, for me, I mean, this was 2016, so we were like 2 years into Gamergate and everything, so I was becoming a freaking hardcore feminist, right? And so I was seeing all like, well, it's like Andrew was saying, because he was so desperate for a new Ghostbusters, it could have been anything and it would have been good. I was so desperate for just shut the fuck up, man. I needed this film to be good. And I think I just dragged my then girlfriend to the cinema with it, who it turns out has a deathly fear of mannequins.
Ooh. I asked my daughter last night, I was like, hey, I'm doing a podcast about Ghostbusters. And I was like, what? And she brought up the mannequins too, I guess, because I tend to forget the mannequins are there unless I'm watching it.
Right. It's only because they are two different girls who've been terrified of mannequins.
Yeah.
And one of them I showed this, the other one I showed the first Christopher Eccleston Doctor Who.
No, but I asked her what was your favorite ghost. I thought she was going to say the lady in the Victorian house, but she was like, the mannequins. I guess maybe it's like, the Dracula terrorizes women sort of thing, especially. Maybe the mannequins do too.
Yeah.
Because I expect it would be like the green ghost, which is red in Lego form, by the way.
Ah.
The demon ghost comes with the Lego set and he's red. I thought that was weird. But,
Yeah, the toy version is also red, now that I think of it.
I wonder if it was changed at the last minute to be green then.
Ghostbuster green, yeah. Well, let's get a little deeper in this movie, I guess. I will give a stirring rendition of the plot, I suppose.
Engage.
Dr. Erin Gilbert is seeking tenure at Columbia University when a republished book about ghosts, written with her old friend and physicist colleague, Dr. Abby Yates, threatens to derail Erin's efforts. Erin confronts Abby, who now works at a low-rent technical college, and demands that she retract the book. Abby agrees to do so if Dr. Gilbert will join her and her unhinged engineer, Jillian Holtzman, to investigate a haunting in a Victorian-era New York City mansion. The investigation results in a spectacular sighting of a malevolent apparition, and a resulting video posted online results in Erin being fired from Columbia. But that's not a problem, as Erin can work with the other two scientists at the technical college, at least until the low-rent dean realizes that they are doing paranormal work and fires a lot of them. Thus, the scientists move into the private sector to investigate ghost sightings, opening up shop above a Chinese restaurant under the name Conductors of the Metaphysical Examination. Their first client is Patty Tolan, a subway worker who spotted a ghost in one of the tunnels. The soon-to-be Ghostbusters spot the ghost, have a chance to test out their equipment, and take on Patty as a fourth partner, as she knows quite a bit about New York City. Soon, the Ghostbusters have a public outing, blasting away and trapping a ghost at a metal concert. The city government would prefer the Ghostbusters lay low, but unaware to all, psychotic hotel employee Rowan North has been conjuring all of these ghosts with his own technology. He plans to use ley lines in the city to open up a portal to hell and bring in legions of malevolent ghosts to pester the world. The Ghostbusters figure this out and confront Rowan, who commits suicide by electrocuting himself on his own equipment. The city still refuses to recognize the Ghostbusters' legitimacy, while the ghost of Rowan possesses first Abby and then the Ghostbusters' secretary, Kevin. As Kevin, Rowan returns to his tech and opens up the portal to the ghost world, pestering New York City. With the police and National Guard literally frozen by Rowan's new supernatural powers, it's up to the Ghostbusters to proton blast the ghosts on the streets of 70s Times Square and ultimately use the nuclear reactor on top of their car, the Ecto-1, to trap Rowan on the other side and seal the portal. Finally gaining the secret support of the city, the Ghostbusters move to their iconic firehouse, and Patty catches a taped reference to Zool.
Yeehaw.
Okay, we like to get behind the real life creative minds here, and I think Andrew has quite a bit of knowledge about both this group of actors and director Paul Feig. Do you want to lead us off wherever you feel like?
Yeah, one of the many reasons I was freaking out about just the rumor that
out?
Paul Feig was, freaking out and geeking out because I rarely get into any television, and I was a major fan of the show Freaks and Geeks, which Paul Feig was one of the creators of. I watched the episodes. It was only one season, but I watched them. I taped them and watched them over and over again. I just thought between that and his books, Super Stud and Kick Me, he just really nailed something about the nerd, the geek experience, and just the painful awkwardness of it. And so I thought, well, this is a story about some nerds, and so he's the perfect person to tell it. But also, he was really great. The show Freaks and Geeks, the female characters are incredible. And so, being that I'm also a lifelong Saturday Night Live fan, I was just over the moon that, this cast came from Saturday Night Live, which, Melissa McCarthy is basically, she's kind of like how Alec Baldwin or Steve Martin is. They're basically a cast member, even though they were never properly. And so it was just, to me, like kind of the perfect storm of things.
That was going to be my question, because, I know you know a lot more about SNL than I do, but, when this movie came out, I guess she was the film star. The others were straight up. Kristen Wiig had done some films by this point, right? Like a number of them.
Yeah, but it was nothing. Bridesmaids that she'd done with Paul Feig was a big hit, and I have to say that probably that's what got the studio interested in Paul Feig making this movie. Was that Bridesmaids was huge.
Yeah, I guess at this point in time, McKinnon's probably the biggest star of this group.
Now, ish, I guess.
Well, at least
Melissa McCarthy is. She's still, McCarthy still, I think, maybe could open a movie, which, we're kind of past the star era in terms of film. Now it's all like franchise and not necessarily stars, but she's still, I would say, a name in movies, whereas McKinnon did The Spy Who Dumped Me, and that was like a bomb.
Yeah, I mean, she's basically the face of the current strain of politicized SNL catching fire, I guess.
That's actually true. Yeah, she's Hillary Clinton and Elizabeth Warren.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's true.
Because Alec Baldwin quit doing Trump, did he?
No, as I recall, he was still.
Oh, okay.
doing.
Again, I'm asking you because you know.
You can't satirize Trump is the problem, so they stopped getting shared.
Yeah.
How do any of these names gain traction in the UK? Do you know what Freaks and Geeks is?
Nope.
Okay. So Paul Feig is not.
Well, also SNL is just not a thing outside of America.
Right. That's So Melissa McCarthy, what about her? I mean,
Well, you bring up like Bridesmaid, and a few of those films were pretty big, and a few of around election time. There's always some SNL skit that does make it across the pond. So like, we used to see like Sarah Palin with What's Her Chops.
Yeah, that's where I was thinking McKinnon probably shows up a bit in the UK. In those roles. Although I imagine not the ones where they're looking at the Democratic primary so much, but
Yeah, I mean, we're aware of like who Bernie is, but yeah, we got our own problems. Other than that, the only SNL sketch I ever knew was Dear Sister.
And I think this is where Leslie Jones got all the blowback from this movie. Is that correct? Because she got she's one of those people who basically got run off of social media like Marie Tron with Star Wars.
I would imagine so.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people. People's a strong word.
Yeah, well, she got it double because she wasn't just guilty of being a woman; she was also guilty of being a black woman,
Right.
Which is that's double for Twitter users.
Well, also my one complaint about this film was that the 3 white women get to be scientists, and again, the black character is just the one with street knowledge.
Yeah, but she is sharper than Zedmore was. The original Zedmore just wants a job.
But it still feels like, we couldn't have. She can't just be a scientist on equal footing with them. It has to be.
Yeah, and that's where one thing I like, but also addresses that point, is I feel like they took a lot of the personality traits of the original Ghostbusters, was kind of mixed them all up.
Divided them all up, yeah.
For the most part, these characters don't clearly apply to one of the original Ghostbusters.
She does end up, of course, like you say, being very sharp and knowledgeable. She knows history and stuff.
Yeah,
it's just that, but she had to be she works on a train or whatever at the start, and she's a working man or whatever. Just felt like a weird. For some reason, they felt they had to do it that way.
Because Zedmore in the original is basically token.
Well, he literally was, right?
Yeah.
Shit, we need to throw in a black guy.
Patty is definitely a contributor.
Yeah.
What was the blowback, if you remember? Because I was watching it from afar and didn't really see the nitty gritty.
Ain't no bitch is gonna bust no ghost, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. With in terms of Leslie Jones, she just didn't take it. She was an active Twitter user, and so she responded to all of them. She just didn't take it. She definitely handed their ass to him daily.
I guess I should have read that Twitter feed, except as we've talked about before, I don't really read Twitter feeds in general.
You're gonna live longer from not reading Twitter.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll stay off then. Yeah. Even Facebook is usually a train wreck in progress for most people. So.
Yeah, it's terrible, all of it.
I don't know when is the time to talk about the new one coming up. Is this the time? Because we've just talked about all this groovy
I actually
talent.
haven't watched that trailer yet.
Oh.
Let's watch it live.
Okay. I assume I think I looked at your Facebook clip for the video, so I know you've seen the trailer, Andrew.
Yeah, a few times. It's played in theaters a couple of times too, and it's not out till now. Who knows when it'll come out?
Afterlife, is that the one?
Ghostbusters. Yes, it looks like The Farm. Yes.
Okay. Here we go.
So Luke's having a look at this one.
What are you
Okay.
doing here in Somerville anyway? Honestly,
Oh, it's the Stranger Things kid.
we're completely broke.
Stranger Things kid. So it's like Stranger Kids Ghostbusters.
This is a creepy old farmhouse our grandfather left us in the middle of nowhere. Why'd you bring me up here?
Entertainment value?
What is that?
I don't know.
Somehow, a town that isn't anywhere near a tectonic plate.
Brawn, that's a strong cough syrup in Japan.
Loud music even is shaking on a daily basis.
Under the dining table now!
Hey, remember that one summer we died under a table?
I thought it looked like Super 8.
Same vibe as Stranger Things. Just Stranger Things is I preferred.
Killer
Yeah.
replica.
Thing is, I didn't
A
like
replica
Super 8.
of what?
A ghost trap?
So far, there hasn't been a joke.
Ghost sightings. New York in the 80s? It's like The Walking Dead. Your dad never mentioned this to you?
It's just
He never mentioned there was a 2016 movie.
my grandfather died. My mom says we're just here to pick through the rubble of his life.
Wait a minute. Who are you? Call it fate. Call it
I assume you're going to edit out the bits where it's just sounds.
Yeah, of course.
Call it karma.
I just didn't feel like hitting stop for some
That
reason.
everything happens for a reason. Come on, darling.
It has a gunner seat?
Okay, so
Okay, so we just had given Luke his viewing of this.
that looks really shit. Like, so I remember thinking around when we're talking about today, the 2016 one came out, that obviously there's all these dudes who hadn't thought about Ghostbusters in 20 years, but because it was an opportunity to attack women, were acting like it was this holy grail of cinema, that they love it, that it was their whole life, that it was a really important milestone movie, right? And this one seems like the film studio accidentally believed them. And they're treating it like Ghostbusters was this holy grail, that it's this really serious story of like deep emotional well for all these people. But it wasn't just a dumb comedy that some SNL guys made.
Yeah, I guess my take watching this is I instantly became basically pissed off at I mean, if it's a great movie, that's fantastic, but I'm just like, hey, they're canceling the 2016 one.
Yeah.
Which that made me angry. So they're
The
not
2016
killing...
one was explicitly not in the canon of the other two, though.
Right. But so I guess that makes sense. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know. I feel like they didn't answer the call.
Yeah, a sequel to that one would have been much better. And a much less cowardly act.
That was the other thing. They had to toss that subtitle onto this one for some reason. It couldn't
Yeah, it
just be
wasn't
Ghostbusters.
Called that in the UK, it was just called Ghostbusters.
And when it was released in America, it was just Ghostbusters. And then, do you know when they added the Answer the Call?
Yeah, it was when the home video release came out to distinguish it. Not that one couldn't distinguish it when one looked at the cover, you know. But that was, when it hit home video, when the Blu-ray and everything came out, Answer the Call was just suddenly on it.
Yeah. Anyway, for me, seeing this trailer made me like completely give my allegiance to the newer Ghostbusters.
Yeah, same.
Andrew, what was your take? I know you're very open to new projects.
I mean, it. I'm gonna be there opening weekend. The thing is, I'm a fan of Ghostbusters. I'm a Ghostbuster fan, and to be honest with you, when I had resigned myself that there would be no third Ghostbusters, Ivan Reitman did this movie called Evolution in the early 2000s.
Mm.
That to me was almost like close your eyes and that could be Ghostbusters 3.
Yeah,
I don't know if you guys remember that one.
Yeah,
I
remember the
remember
film
liking
and-
that one quite well. Maybe I went with you to see it.
I
It
saw
may
that one
be.
in theaters and really enjoyed it. Well, I mean, I guess I was the age watching that you would have been watching Ghostbusters.
A little older, but yeah,
Yeah,
mostly.
right? Close enough.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's so much the Ghostbuster model. I mean, up until the point of having Orlando Jones, the Black Guy, Sean William Scott, David Duchovny. It was just it's so Ghostbuster. Julianne Moore also. It is a Ghostbusters movie. Just
It shares
I think,
DNA, right?
That's the thing. There's so much DNA that fits. Like the tech doesn't quite look the same, but it looks right. The uniforms are better here. Again, getting the Lego set for this Ecto One, it's actually cooler than the original.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of a.
Yeah,
I guess
no,
there's more of a maintenance worker vibe. I think they actually wanted them to look like kind of like sanitation workers or something.
Yeah, no, an extraordinary amount of thought went into making 2016 Ghostbusters, an extraordinary amount of thought. Like, it was a major production, and looking back on it, it did make money. It was not a bomb, but I don't see how anyone expected it to be a big hit because it's a sequel from so long ago to something that, I don't think the public really, en masse, really so cares about.
We're technically on the actors, so let's get to the cameos, which, of course, they're basically like legitimizing cameos because they have most of the original cast just showing up to be like, hey, we're down with this movie, and I think most of them work pretty well.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Actually, my favorite is I've forgotten the real name. Which one died?
Oh, Harold Ramis is.
He
bust.
just has his bust. Yeah, I
he,
thought that was a nice way to do it.
He didn't consent
subtle.
to that though. He's dead.
Yeah, but still, it's just a subtle, nice little thing.
I love that Bill Murray shows up as Dickless in this one, basically.
Yeah.
That's perfect. And going as smug as he possibly can, but he's still basically playing Venkman too, which is fantastic. Yeah. Dan Aykroyd was cheesy, but whatever, it's fine.
Dan Aykroyd was the most like, oh, here's the cameo of the old one.
Sigourney Weaver's was fantastic.
Wait, I don't even remember.
Post-credit scene. Did you get post-credits?
I did in the theater, but I didn't watch it this time.
Okay, she's Holtzman's mentor.
Okay.
Do you have any notes on those cameos, Andrew?
Oh, well, I never write anything down when I do a podcast, but I'll say that
notes, but
I remember being satisfied with the cameos, but happy that that Ernie Hudson's was pretty substantial. Like, he gets the tag, which was you can't stack them like flapjacks. That is hilarious. The script is hilarious, but I was really happy. I love the Sigourney Weaver line, safety lights are for dudes. I love, what is it? Annie Potts as the desk clerk or whatever.
Oh, yeah, when they get to the hood.
That was a blink and miss one there, but she is she's standing in the right place.
Right, and it's like there's no question of who that is, either. So, yeah, I mean, I was happy with all of that. They could have gone overboard with, celebrity spots, but I feel like they just kind of reined it in just enough.
Oh, and I went to the cameos, but we forgot to talk a bit about Thor.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
He's so good in this. To the point that I remember talking to a friend, maybe a year ago, who watched this film for the first time, saying like, oh, yeah, Thor was funny, but the rest of the film wasn't. And I almost believed him until I rewatched it. I'm like, oh, no, actually, there are a lot of laughs throughout the film. But he is really good in this.
Yeah.
I guess his role in this is why Thor Ragnarok exists, right?
Basically. That's why we have Fat Thor now.
He does have funny moments in the first two Thor films, right? But you don't think of him as a comedy guy. You think of him as, handsome leading man guy. But after this, I'm like, no, he's a comedian. He's really funny. Just his timing is perfect.
No, I know at least in my house we do quite a bit of lines from him.
What's interesting though is in the Golden Book adaptation, he's left like completely out of it.
Really? Who does Rowan possess in the end?
They don't even. I mean, it's very, very severely abridged.
Okay, I don't see how you could do that. Although I did notice writing my synopsis, I did not mention him until he gets possessed. So he's obviously not important to the story or anything.
Yeah, he's not. He's just there to be funny, but it works. Because, that's my problem when we just watched that trailer for the new one, right? It didn't look like a comedy.
Yeah, there were no...
This is a comedy. It's
the closest thing to a joke was the monologue from the original, and that's not really quite a joke.
Right.
Well, it's Jason Reitman, the son of Ivan Reitman's the director of that new one.
Right. As I said, I do hope to be pleasantly surprised, but the trailer did not win me over.
You can't really judge anything by trailers these days.
Right.
Like, the trailer was made by studio guys who don't get it, but that doesn't mean the film was.
Okay. I think that's the actors. Shall we talk about the actual the real Ghostbusters? No, we're not going to talk about the real Ghostbusters. Do you know what that is?
I know the real Ghostbusters. That was my Ghostbusters as a kid. So I was a bit too late for the film. So.
Right. Well, let's talk about the Ghostbusters that inhabit this movie. Okay? One of the things that really works, we've talked...
Fuck, shut up.
His phone turned on.
I didn't realize you were recording. I was about to deliberately play something.
Okay.
I'll do it next time.
Radio. What was I going to say? It was about these Ghostbusters. Yeah. Some movies, especially in our 90th Endgame reference, the Here the Lady shot.
Right.
Even Dark Fate, I don't think did it. I think the characters are great, but just a little bit of, especially like the promotional materials.
You call it the ex-women.
Yeah. But this movie has none of that. They're just there.
Yeah, it's actually...
There's really almost no reference to the fact that they are women, which is, I think, the way to do it.
Yeah, ironically, despite the fucking reaction this film got, it's not an example of, like, shoehorned in representation. Everyone feels that they're there very naturally.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is like how feminism should actually be. They're just doing their thing, and it works really well. Because I know there's the stereotype of the beta male feminist that's the one that ended up screaming at this movie, you know. Like they're just doing it as a statement and not as an actual like philosophy. Because this movie lives the philosophy, I think. Unless I'm wrong.
No, I think it is, and it's very accurate. I'm married to a microbiologist, and so through her entire time and as an undergrad and through grad school and then lab work and all that, I was around her and her friends who are all female scientists, and so you go to lunch with them, this is it. Like, it's very realistic.
They don't just start shooting fire, do they?
Yes.
Oh, no. Okay. So that's accurate.
Oh, it's totally accurate.
I guess that's cool. I lost my train of thought there. Okay.
You're talking about just how this film does that well. But yeah, it's a fallacy to pretend that casting 4 men would not also be a political statement.
Yeah. and they're, you know, it's legitimately funny. There's no... It's not like girl jokes. I mean, this is probably the highest score on the Bechdel test. Is it? How do you say it?
Bechdel, Rachel.
Bechdel.
Yeah.
Thank you. This must have the highest score of anything for that. I mean, it's almost the scenes where I do talk about another guy or a joke, right? Because that's
it's always just lust enough to Kevin, which,
right?
You know, you would.
Yeah. So I mean, if someone actually went and did number scores on, I imagine this must be the highest one.
Yeah, well, you know, The Heat is also that way, which is the movie Paul Feig did. I don't know if it was right before this, but the one with McCarthy and Sandra Bullock. That movie is hysterically funny. And it's just literally like a female buddy cop movie. I mean, there's no, you know what I mean? There's no statement there. It just is.
I have to admit I actually don't. I'm a little behind on my comedies because we get a lot of American movies in Japan, but usually not the comedies because they don't translate.
You get them, but they only run for like a week.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, I got to see Jojo Rabbit at the theater.
Right. Although that also had the Academy, you know, the Oscars stuff.
I guess.
Well, whatever. Anyway, yeah, we don't get many comedies. The Hangover weirdly had some traction here. Ted did because they thought the bear was cute.
Yeah, I feel like Ted, the character, is popular, and none of those people have seen the film.
Oh yeah, people actually give their kids Teds, and they have like T-shirts and stuff, so, which seems like they'd call child services on you in America for that.
I guess The Hangover would translate because it wasn't funny in English.
That's right.
But yeah, this one's quite funny. Maybe because I had not seen those movies, that might be why the first 5 minutes of this I didn't quite click because I wasn't familiar enough with the strain of comedy. I think Christine Wiig was who I was most familiar with here because I'd seen her and stuff when I saw this. But yeah, I hadn't seen many recent comedies when I saw this, so that might be why it took a few minutes for me to adapt as well.
Watching it now, I recognise a lot of the smaller roles from other stuff. Like the tour guide is, he was one of the main guys in Silicon Valley. The villain in this, I recognise from, like, he did a lot of YouTube sketches and stuff.
Oh, and just last week or 2 weeks ago, I had mentioned the Upright Citizens guy that shows up in small roles that aren't funny now.
Right.
Yeah, here he was in.
Oh, who was he in this?
He was one of the detectives, the bald detective with the mustache.
Oh, him?
He says something snarky, but he doesn't really make
No,
jokes.
I know him. He's in loads of stuff.
Yeah, and
that's the guy
he used to be like a actual like on a sketch comedy show doing like funny stuff all the time, and now he shows up in these like not so funny bit parts all over the place.
Yeah, I think he was even in like a Transformers. Like,
Yeah. Good for him getting his paychecks and stuff. But that is that guy. Yeah. And I got the name Matt Walsh is his name.
I guess he plays unfunny roles in comedies.
Yeah, exactly.
Seems to be his thing. He's there to be a straight guy.
Because I think he's the same role in like an MCU movie or something too. That just the bureaucrat dude that shows up.
Yeah.
There's also Kevin McDonald from Mad TV.
It's right on the tip of my brain. Which role is he?
He's like the guy that's there when they come in. He's like, basically playing, there's always like some like stuffy guy. Can we handle this quietly kind of guy,
Oh, right.
When they get to the hotel.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was McDonald.
And who is the dean? He's somebody.
Oh man, he's a Saturday Night Live writer. He was hilarious, wasn't he?
Oh yeah, the bird. That's nice. I actually adapted that because we teach kids, right? And during snack time, I do it in reverse. I think
his name is Steve Higgins. He's a long-term Saturday Night Live writer. It was great. I love that scene.
But I do all the fingers thing, in stereo, all that. But the more like that's where you give people two birds. But of course, I do the little kid version where I'm not flicking them the bird. Although in Japan, nobody cares. People point to things with their middle finger. I've even started doing that. My wife sometimes stop using that finger. Nobody cares in Japan. You can be holding a book and you're reading to the kids and I'm using my middle finger to point.
Yeah, sometimes the junior school kids have learned that it's rude and start doing it and I have to tell them to stop.
Yeah.
Or if I'm not feeling professional, then I just teach them fun ways to do it.
So yeah, Andrew, if you ever do make it to Japan, you can just let them fly wherever they want.
Oh God, I was sitting here hearing all of this. Clearly, this is where I was meant to be.
And now I'm thinking of Bean, the movie, when he first arrives and he's just flicking the bird out the window because he thinks that's how you wave in America.
That is how you wave in America.
That had the guy from Ghostbusters 2 in it, so everything's a circle.
Yeah, that's how Andrew waves from a car.
But I've done that here. Whenever we've driven to an event and Andrew and Joe are cycling behind us, I just flip them the bird out the window.
Yeah. Oh, when I leave work Thursdays, one of our coworkers is Alan. Our trains leave about the same time, and mine leaves a minute earlier. Right. So his train has to be a little late for this, but when possible, mine's a little earlier. So I'll stand at the window, middle finger outstretched, just looking angry as hell, looking at him while he's on the platform.
That's fun.
It was fun. So yeah, I can do that on a public train in Japan because nobody cares.
But heaven forbid you sneeze.
Yeah, but usually his train, the train comes up right when I can't do it, so his train has to be a little bit late for me to do that.
Okay.
Yeah, so I guess that's how it should work. With the characters here again, they kind of called out their own hate with Rowan, didn't they? I mean, that's the guy that was screaming at this movie.
Yeah. I remember watching a thing they've nailed the fucking little Reddit dweeb, Goblin Man.
How much of that was written into this movie? When they were doing the pre-production stuff, I think I heard that comment was a real comment about this movie.
Yeah, I think the character was there from the start.
Right.
Because that was not a new phenomenon for this film.
No, the bitches.
But the bitches ain't gonna bust no goats. That's a real Reddit comment.
Yeah, that was actually from a comment I heard. So, kind of an interactive writing of the movie. I guess that couldn't have happened pre-internet.
But yeah, Rowan's character, legitimately very creepy because that's such a real thing.
My favorite line in the entire movie is actually
"Lost forever." We'll see.
Guess what line's he saying right now?
I don't know. It's not about soup.
You went silent. You said my favorite line in the movie, and then you stopped.
So we started guessing. Oh, what's your favorite line? Oh, it's thinking again.
Oh. Well, am I back?
My back? Yeah, you're back, I think. We still don't know your favorite line, though. Who's on first? Are you on first?
Let's wait till the crud.
We're having too much fun with this. Okay, see if you can say it. We'll see what happens.
Okay.
Favorite line?
Oh, well, I mean, am I coming out clear or no?
Yeah, you're fine now.
We're holding our breath.
Am I coming out clear or no?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're holding our breath.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, okay. Well, my favorite line from the movie is actually in the extended version, which is my preferred version to watch. And it is the scene where Rowan talks about they'll return to pester the living, that part, but he actually says they're the souls who see the world as it truly is. Something about like garbage that needs to be cleaned up, and then he goes, "They're mostly dudes."
Wow, you're good at holding your breath, Matt.
Thank you.
I bottled it like halfway.
Yeah,
That line kills me.
You had such a long lead up. I was literally holding my breath the entire time.
Oh no, that's my favorite one.
I didn't take a big enough breath first because I thought you were going to be quick.
No, I'm good at holding my breath.
No, but that's a good line. It's just that it almost killed me. So.
Yeah, I think we did not watch the extended edition this time, but I have seen it.
Oh, okay, I've never seen it.
The dance scene is put into the proper movie in the extended version, right?
Yeah.
Oh, when he possesses them towards the end?
Yeah, possesses the National Guard. That needs to be in the movie. That actually has a narrative point. Because in the normal cut, they just show up and everyone's frozen. You don't really know why.
You see him freeze them, but you don't see him do the dance.
Yeah. I think they should have put the dance in the proper movie as they did with the extended cut, but that's not...
I mean, it's just, for me, it's just more of the funny stuff. Like, it's just more jokes, really. And that's why I prefer it. It's just I'm getting more of the movie that I like. Because it doesn't really, it obviously could live without any of that stuff. And there's an entire character that's not even in it, that they took out. So, nobody missed them, which is, I think, really feminist and very funny.
No, if I had been able to get my hands on the extended one, we would have watched that, but we didn't. So, because I had the file on my wife's computer, but my wife's computer like blew up or something.
Oh, fun.
Well, it started making crazy noises and it didn't work anymore.
Ghost in it?
Yeah, it has no, it's more of a rattling, a mechanical rattling. Ghost would be more ectoplasmic. But I lost my extended cut because I had it digitally. It's very sad.
Endless cosmic rope revolving, or fractal patterns play in scale. Life rendered in dimensions curling, iridescent vapor trails.
It's hard not to talk about this Ghostbusters without directly going to the design and the stuff, which we already did, but what was the MO here? I know you were keeping up with the production of this movie, so...
They just wanted it to all be accurate. They wanted it to all be like real tech, like really usable things. So they, like MIT was involved. They like really got, like if one were to create this, what would it need to look like, and how could one person like, and they even wrote it into the script where it shows them like trying to cart that giant version of it around first. So it's so like nuts and bolts. They really wanted it to be plausible,
Yeah, I definitely like how in the original Ghostbusters they mentioned the equipment is dangerous, but here it seems really dangerous.
Yeah.
Like, wait, I have to ground you first.
Well, like similarly, at the start of the film, they try and go to the building the original film hired, right? And like, no, clearly we can't afford that, and they end up above that Chinese restaurant.
That's a hip pad, though. I like it.
But and then it works because then like also with the technology, it's like the original Ghostbusters seemed to make it like overnight. Whereas this, it takes them a lot of effort and practice and, like you say, dangerous experiments to get there. And it all just felt like... It felt like how it would be if you tried to do something like this today. And you would of the generation of men who could just swan around and get away with everything.
I lost my train of thought again. I should probably look at my notes sometimes.
The ghost designs still seem pretty true to the originals to me.
Yeah, Slimer's... he looks right. He sounds weird, though.
Slimer looked like he could legitimately be a puppet. I don't know if he was, but...
How much practical did they do here?
Way more than I think people realize.
Yeah.
They had like, it was all like people in costumes and stuff, and they would just kind of like replace certain parts of them,
Right.
or make them fly or things like that. But a lot of like, puppet on green screen or person in costume on green screen. Definitely Gertrude Aldridge, the one who's the first one they encountered that spits the slime or whatever. That was like a real projectile. That thing really did that to her,
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that was the other thing when I asked my daughter last night if she had anything she wanted to say. She's like, the white ghost wasn't scary. But she meant to Stay Puft.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I had to explain.
Oh, yeah, he wasn't Stay Puft in this one, was it? It was just the Ghostbusters logo.
No.
Stay Puft is in it briefly.
No, there's one of the balloons is Stay Puft.
Yeah, we see Stay
trapped
Puft
under.
briefly.
Yeah. Right.
That's true.
So I had to explain, no, that's because he was in the original one, right? and it was supposed to be funny because that was the first thing he thought of. But yeah, she was like, that one wasn't scary.
But I just realised the one you were talking about before that was red and then turned green is the one at the metal concert, right?
Yes.
Maybe they changed it because that would have been way too satanic.
Yeah, we only went Satan in the toy lines.
Well, and I also think because of the beams that come out of their weapons or whatever already being sort of like a reddish pink color, I don't think it would have. Did either of you see it in 3D in the theater?
Oh no.
No.
It was amazing because, and they do have this, like when you watch it on the Blu-ray, how the effects come like actually they break the matting of the film.
Okay.
I don't know if you noticed that when you watch it, but they fly out of, you get the black bars on top and bottom that we, used to seeing for that aspect ratio. If you watch it when they're shooting stuff, things are flying out of that, like they're breaking it.
That's
and
cool.
So it's amazing. And in the theaters, it was doing that in 3D. It was just like bananas. Like definitely that whole concert scene and then the ending was just, it was really, I'd never seen anything do that before. It actually breaks, but it carried over into the physical release. Like even though it wasn't in 3D, it still kind of is.
That was a sorry with the cameos. Yeah, Ozzy's was a pretty crap one. It's like that was the most they could get out of him, I guess.
But he has a line in the extended version.
Oh, they got 2 lines out of it. Okay.
Yeah,
It was so short.
So Sabbath did that shit in 1974, and he walks away.
No, I that's good. Yeah, I think I remember that. No, I just had this this image of them wheeling in Ozzy to the set that day and like not being able to get anything out of it for like 8 hours except for the one line.
Very believable.
And I've never even seen his reality show. I'm just I heard his new album's not bad. Don't know if it's good, but it's apparently not bad. The last Black Sabbath album was pretty good. You ever hear that?
I have not. I'm very out of the rock and roll realm.
Yeah. I mean, you should listen to 70s Sabbath ahead of it, but I think it's called 13. And it was actually pretty good. I liked it. But anyway, enough of Ozzy. Back to the
I'll listen to 1 through 12 first.
Yeah.
I watched it
spoiled.
on a cell phone, so I think I didn't even have the black borders that I could have seen things go in and out of. So.
I did, but I guess I didn't notice. The balloons, yeah, I assume those are practical because they look fantastic.
Yeah, there's just way more. But that's kind of the way things are now with, physical effects. They blend it with digital so much that people just assume the entire creation is digital, but it's actually not.
Yeah, I think I think we've gotten past peak, computer vomit stuff. Usually, I mean that basically tells you it's a questionable movie when you do get the, the ending turd villain at the end of CGI.
Yeah, although you'd still be. I was watching a thing about what Marvel do, and it's insane the amount of stuff they do CG.
Yeah,
because they don't have to pay them as much because they don't have a union. Like they would rather, like when Iron Man died at the end of Endgame, they shot it with no makeup because it was cheaper to do it CG.
Ooh.
Well, you think about this one. We've just had The Call of the Wild with Harrison Ford. This is not a real dog. This is Terry Notary from the Planet of the Apes movies with dots all over him.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's difficult to find a real dog.
It's basically Scooby-Doo.
Wow.
I think I sent you the meme I saw. I didn't even know about the movie yet, and someone put like, oh God, I shouldn't have brought it because I remember. Do you remember me sending you a Harrison Ford meme with him and the dog?
No.
It said something like, like Harrison Ford just realized that crap. I'm gonna edit that because I don't remember enough of what I'm trying to talk about.
Okay, boomer.
Yeah. I think I was sent the meme by a boomer too. Anyway,
very much a conversation I'd have with my grandma.
Yeah.
And then the minion says, my grandkids never call me.
Anyway,
it's true because they don't.
What the meme suggested using an image for that movie is that Harrison Ford has been tripping on mushrooms for 30 years thinking that he was flying a Millennium Ford with a Wookiee, and it was actually just a bearded, grizzled Harrison Ford with his CGI dog.
See, you know that's not the case because Harrison Ford couldn't give less of a fuck about Star Wars.
I know.
See the thing recently where it was like they asked him, "Oh, was Han a Force ghost in Rise of Skywalker?" He says, "What the? I don't know what a Force ghost is, and I don't care."
Let me go crash into the airplane. He's had like 5 plane accidents or something. He must, yeah.
He's got a plane crash fetish. Don't judge them now.
It's the only way to.
You can't get it up
alive.
unless he's going down.
This will be the Cronenberg's final film.
And that'll be the title. No, that'll be the tagline. You can't get it up unless they can't get it up unless they're going down. Oh yeah. Okay. The Art Deco hotel's cool. It's like we spent a little more time in the hotel in this movie than the original one, which isn't as Art Deco. But I did like the design and the ley lines thing. Yeah, they don't really.
I always love some ley lines.
Yeah, ley lines are cool. They allude to it in the original, but they don't spell it out like they do here. I was waiting to see if someone had something interesting to say.
Oh well, I would just add that I don't think part of the people's problem is they can't admit that this is a better movie than those Ghostbuster movies. I mean, 2 really messed up because 1, it was a low budget movie and they didn't have all the effects ready, and even the first test screenings of it had no special effects whatsoever. So but by the time 2 was a thing, they really did have the money. It was a hit sequel to a hit movie. Why did they make it like that? You know what I mean? They could have been way more ambitious than they were. And so this is the ultimate Ghostbuster movie, I think. And I think that was the thing. People just didn't want to admit this was done with way more care and taken way more seriously.
Well, they were probably, terrified to try anything because of the guy they cast as Vigo in Ghostbusters 2.
Oh, right.
Has anyone heard about that actor?
No.
He has this insanely dark history.
Huh.
Growing up as a Nazi or something and being affiliated with actual murders and stuff. Yeah, I don't remember the name of the dude, but yeah, look up the actor that played Vigo. That's some weird dark stuff.
See, when this film
not before going to bed though.
Yeah, okay, it's noon here, man.
When this film first came out, I feel like the word on the street was, "Oh, it's better than 2." Right? The reviews were "Oh yeah, it's good. It's definitely better than Ghostbusters 2. Maybe it's as good as the original." And then it's just after that, the shit brigade has convinced everyone that it was actually terrible.
Just like The Last Jedi.
It was not a high bar to hit.
Yeah, there's one good Star Wars film and one good Ghostbusters film.
There we go. But no, what sealed the deal? Honestly, yeah, my daughter loved this movie, so that kind of made me like it more than the original. But I feel like this trailer, the new one, sealed the deal. I'm like, oh yeah, 2016 Ghostbusters is the best one.
Yeah, I know, right?
just kind of how The Rise of Skywalker sealed the deal for me. Last Jedi is actually the best Star Wars movie.
It is. I agree completely.
But I needed something else to put it in its proper context, I guess. So this one is now in the proper context. Now that it's a lost cause.
I can imagine the person who listens to this podcast, which we're releasing on April Fools, and thinks the joke is the opinions we're expressing. I just want to make it very clear. I genuinely do think that this is better than the original Ghostbusters, and I genuinely do think Last Jedi is the best Star Wars.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you on that. So it sounds like we're in agreement here. This is not a fool. The fool is you thought we hated this movie and we like it.
There's not a double fool on top of that.
Yeah, we do want to do a proper episode here, so yeah.
But the upcoming 4 films, at least one of us does genuinely hate each one.
Yeah. Hey, Andrew, you want us to run those films by you, and it'll be a preview for our other listener as well. You
I would love to hear what those are.
These are the hate ones. So on my side, we're going to be doing Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes, and Batman and Robin. On Luke's side, Ready Player One.
Oh, okay. I was going to read my.
Oh yeah, it's your
Ready Player One, and Dragon Ball Evolution.
This is your chance. Do you want to give us a rebuttal on any of those?
I have not seen all of those, but I did see. Luke, what was your first one?
Ready Player One.
Yeah, I eventually saw that. I didn't like that.
Yeah, he's a gamer. So you and I, we just didn't like it. Luke has some rage hate against it, it seems, which we'll discuss in a week or two.
It's not because I'm a gamer. It's because it's an actively evil film.
Yeah, I only watched it once, and it didn't stick in my brain too hard. So.
And yours were Planet of the Apes and what?
Batman and Robin.
Planet of the Apes, I think just because of it was the last Apes movie with all the, makeup effects and stuff. Whereas, all the new ones were digital, which they're fine. I love those movies. But I think when I watched the Tim Burton one, I dig on all the costumes and the effects and the score.
That was all good. I just didn't like the fact that the movie makes no sense whatsoever. But I haven't watched it. I haven't watched it since 2001. I saw it opening night. Haven't seen it since. I might come in and go, hey, I really like this movie. Batman.
Opening night, I saw Pootie Tang instead.
That's a good movie.
But what was the other one was? I'm sorry, I keep forgetting. Your other one was Batman and Robin.
Yeah, the Clooney one.
Yeah. I mean It's a toy commercial, isn't it?
See, I think I genuinely like it.
Yeah, that's what
I do, and but I think my favorite of the Batmans is probably Batman Forever, though.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, I like that one more than I don't like. I guess I don't like Tim Burton as much as some people do. Although I do like some of his movies quite well, but his Batman.
Oh God, he Mars Attacks was pretty much his movie that had the most black people in it by far.
Yeah, I love that. I love Ed Wood.
Just makes very, very white movies for the most. I like his stop motion. The Frankenweenie. Did you see
the old one?
It was like a 2012. He did like an entire.
I've seen the old short one. I haven't seen the feature length.
Yeah, that's one I've seen.
I like that.
Yeah,
but they were puppets instead of a bunch of white people. So
yeah, I think when it came out, my wife was like, "Oh, that looks too scary for our 3-year-old daughter."
Tim Burton films are the equivalent of people who have no personality, so they adopt one quirk to pretend they have a personality.
There's Ed Wood also, probably my favorite thing that he's done. Probably Ed Wood, and then
I always forget he's involved in Ed Wood.
Yeah. Just starting back on Pootie Tang a minute. This is a Pootie Tang about 8 to almost 20 years ago. It was when I was in Pennsylvania, like doing a summer camp thing, and I that was movie night. I put on Pootie. They were like, Matt, go rent a movie. We're going to do a movie night. So I read a Pootie Tang and showed it to a bunch of kids.
See, I don't know what the fuck Pootie Tang is.
Okay. We'll get into that another time.
I don't think after watching it you'll be able to answer that question.
Sign your pity on the Run-A-Con. I guess we're reaching the end of our Pootie Tang podcast today.
I forgot. Charles Dance was in this film.
Carry on.
Briefly, but...
Was he the Columbia Dean?
Yeah.
Okay. What is he a UK feller?
Yeah, he's in like one of the Bonds. He's in Game of Thrones. He's in
Golden
Godzilla,
Child.
Golden Child.
Yeah.
Last Action Hero.
Yeah, with that cool eyeball.
Yeah, he's just like a villain actor.
Sorry, it's just I've just noticed we've made the second Golden Child reference in like the same month. And I haven't seen that movie since it was new on VHS.
Yeah, Charles Dance is great in everything. I mean, he plays the same character in everything.
Yeah,
he's very good at it.
Oh yeah, I did at the beginning of the movie. Maybe one of the reasons it took me a few minutes to warm up is Luke and I teach, and they make us go stand in a room by ourselves and teach to nobody. So he's doing that in the big hall at the beginning. So
big hall.
Yeah. Maybe it was a bad flashback to having to train for work demos. Go in the room and people occasionally are looking if you're talking to yourself or not.
It's also, for the first sort of act of the film, she's not likable until she opens up to being a Ghostbuster, right?
Yeah.
So you're kind of having to... You're like, oh, is she going to be like this the whole time?
Yeah.
But then once she becomes a Ghostbuster, she's great.
Right. That might have been part of it, because you're supposed to like them, like you're supposed to like them from the beginning. Although he is torturing people, like literally, but
I'm gonna say you don't really like him either.
Yeah. People like him, but I guess they like to hate him. Yeah. Which is why Bill Murray's fantastic in that, but he's fantastic in this too. So he gets both Ghostbusters. Good for him. We do like to close down by saying, how does it hold up? And I guess, having put on that trailer, this movie hasn't held up at all. Because they've flushed it down the crapper. Which
is ironic, because it's really good.
Yeah.
I hope it gets a reappraisal when the new one comes out.
I think I actually heard this from Andrew. Was there actually an animated series for this movie?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
I mean, that would have been rad, but no.
No, I don't think there was.
Maybe there was some inkling. Okay, if you're saying no, because I think
there was comic books.
Yeah,
because
they may have been
IDW do comic books with both sets of Ghostbusters.
Maybe that's right.
And they've crossed over with Transformers, which is the only reason I'm aware of them.
Okay, maybe that's why I have this image of anime-looking Ghostbusters in my mind.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, I should qualify that. In Japan, everything animated is anime.
Yeah, I ask kids, what's your favorite anime, and they tell me SpongeBob.
Anime SpongeBob.
Which is great, because fucking dweebs back home get so pissed off if you call something that's not Japanese an anime.
Yeah, the big anime here now is, in English, they say Demon Slayer.
Yeah.
Do you have the Japanese?
Kimetsu no Yaiba.
Yeah, because Luke's actually had to work on that. He's making a class out of it.
Yeah.
So we're going to have 10-year-olds and show them that.
Yeah, I know.
Quite violent.
I'm trying to edit around, decapitations and cannibalism and old men telling children to commit seppuku and stuff. And I'm like, really? This one? And they're like, yeah, the kids love it. We're going to sell so many lessons. I'm like, yeah, but are you sure? I like it, but I don't know if this is appropriate.
Again, they call child services in America, but it's popular in Japan.
Yeah.
No, the most recent one we have is called Promare or something like that.
Oh, yeah, that was a cinematic release. The one we're talking about is just a TV show.
Yeah, I think they do show it on Adult Swim or something in America.
Yeah, because the files that I've ripped to use in my lesson will have Adult Swim as a watermark in the corner. I'm going to have to try and explain to a kid at some point in the coming weeks. So.
See, in America, they don't let kids watch this.
Would you, though, Matty brought it up in the meeting, and she was like, oh, well, in Japan, this sort of thing happened a long time ago, so it doesn't bother us when we see it.
And then we asked the question, is it actually legal for us to use this in class? To which then our manager disappeared for the next 20 minutes.
Yeah, that hadn't occurred to anyone.
Yeah. No, the most recent feature that I actually went to see was actually from China. It's called The White Snake. It was an animated movie. And I was like, wow, I can't really tell you how many Chinese animated features I've seen. It was interesting. It was good, but...
Right. Closing on today, Ghostbusters, if you haven't seen it, you should see it. If you came here to hate it, maybe reappraise it.
Yeah. Or just, fuck you.
Yeah. There's two kinds of people in the world. Those we tell to fuck off and those we don't.
My kind of people and assholes.
There we go. Anyway, do you want to give your final wrap on this movie?
Oh man, well Luke said it best, man. Fuck you, you don't like it. I mean, I literally, I think I watch it often because I have to remind myself that it exists. You know?
Yeah, we have that. We have. What you said you had the Ecto one too? We got the Ecto one to remind me of that.
Oh, I've got all the figures that were released for it. I've got all the Funko as well. I've got the Ecto one from it. I got all the merch. I snapped it up because I knew this is it. I knew there would not be another one. I knew it. It's amazing that there was ever one to start with. So it's just one of those things that I put it on often just to sort of remind me, hey, this happened.
Although there's one thing I do hate here, because Luke was like, oh, we have to do the musical number for this. And I was like, one, I don't actually like the Ghostbusters theme, and two, I hate the version of this movie. When they're first
got Fall Out Boy and Missy Elliott.
Yeah.
There is a really good song though in it. It's called "Good Girls" on the soundtrack. I loved that song.
No, most of the soundtrack is fine, but I just hate the version of the Ghostbusters theme in this. I was like, just don't have it at all, people.
Well, they occasionally use it, just like stings from it and stuff. That works.
Oh, that's fine. Near the end, they have a little
do their
swell.
own stupid version of it.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
when they do the creepy little piano version, I like that.
I can't completely throw part 2 under the bus because my favorite Ghostbuster theme is actually 2, the Bobby Brown song.
Yeah, I remember that video.
That is an awesome song.
Yeah, that was fine. I mean, it's not like, no, I screwed up the song. Oh, it's not hard. I mean, I don't know. I never actually liked the original theme that much, to be honest. I was going to mention a while back when I first was taken to the theater to see the original Ghostbusters in 1984. I ran out when the Library Ghost came out. And my
it's
dad,
scary.
Yeah, and then I don't think I came back in that day. I had to watch it.
You'd have only been like 5 or 6, right?
Yeah.
I was obsessed with the Ghostbusters to the extent that I had it recorded on audio cassette, and I would listen to it while I slept, so that I could memorize it like a foreign language.
No, same here. I steeled myself in the week after running out of the theater and saw it the following week. I went for round 2 because I wanted to see it. So
Nice.
I was very well obsessed.
Just had to remember the story from my family. My auntie once walked in on my uncle emptying the fridge because he'd planned to get inside it and wait for her so that he could go zoom. But she just walked in on him taking all the food and shelves out.
Lucky because he may have not been able to get out.
Yeah, he may have just locked. What if that was how my uncle died? He got in a fridge so he could say zoom.
That's what I'm saying. He may well have been.
it would have been a real ghost then.
Yeah.
Hey, Andrew, you got anywhere people should go? I guess that in America they're staying in their house at the moment, but they can go somewhere online to find some GOnZoRiFFiC stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Our latest film, Bad Girl Dracula, is available on Amazon Prime and Amazon UK. I'm not sure where else, but yeah, you can watch that one.
And especially for the Americans listening, you don't have anywhere else to go, so you might as well watch. Did you make all 3 into a feature, or is it just the first one?
Yeah. It's what happened was we spent about 3 years making the whole thing, and they're interconnected with the story. So it's like Bad Girl Dracula and the Vampire Master recounting their adventures, and there are 3 of them, and each one sort of like progressively sexier and bloodier.
Does not appear to be on Japanese Amazon Prime at this time.
I have seen some of the stuff on Japanese Amazon Prime, though. I've seen some of your stuff there before. On Japanese
some of it is. Space Boobs in Space was.
Yes. I haven't. That one seems gone from regular Prime, though. It's weird how these movies just kind of, and they change the rules every other week, don't they?
They do, and the amount of money that they were paying us for the streaming per minute has gone down significantly.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, we just do this podcast for the hell of it, so.
Yeah. I've almost got enough Patreons on my other podcast now that it's not costing me money.
And what podcast is that?
Oh, okay, yeah, that's Luke Loves Pokemon. You can find that. Go on Twitter, search Luke Loves PKMN. It's nothing like this one.
Right.
And Matt does music, which you can find by going to Bandcamp. RovingSageMedia.bandcamp.com.
I was going to say, I was just sitting here thinking about what music I'm actually going to put in this episode, and then I'd be like, oh, it's from this album, but I don't know yet.
Right.
Anyway, Andrew, thank you for joining us this late evening in your case.
Yeah, I'm going to bed directly.
Radio. Okay. This has been Matt.
This has been Luke.
And as the Ghostbusters would bust a ghost out of a sci-fi sanctuary, you should...
What?
I don't know. I was trying to riff, and it didn't work.
Yeah, don't.
Get the fuck out!
But don't get the fuck out. Stay in your house.
Oh, yeah.
Otherwise you're going to get shamed on Facebook.
You will get the fuck out of the metaphorical sanctuary, you see.
Yeah.
It's a metaphorical sanctuary, so you could still be in your house and get the fuck out of the sanctuary.
Oh, yeah, you should definitely do that.
Okay. Later.
Next week, Batman and Robin.
Endless cosmic rope revolving, or fractal patterns play in scale. Life rendered in dimensions curling, iridescent vapor trails. We are truly all immigrants, on this earth plane so very dense. We are all nomads so divine, springing over your garden fence. Tangled contradictions ever tumble in algorithms of the Sci-Fi. Overhead seas of heaven do they rumble in the garden of the piper. Ascension. Blossoms open and they grow. Feel the healing from the land. In colours of this, the floor show. Vortex wheels a whirlpool knot that refract your light of love so pure. Vanities of empires, grass and sand. It is you and joy I do adore.